What's going on, everyone? This is James Sweeney, aka Splitsuit, and I'm going to be doing a video today at 50 on stars, and just going to be having some fun and seeing what happens. So, just trying to get on tables quickly, which is why I posted, otherwise I would never do that. Posting is just really bad. You have to have such a sicko edge in order to overcome it. And it's not even worth your time in the first place. So fuck it, just going to fold the steel over there. So this guy is on my left on 2 tables, so I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on him and just kind of seeing what develops. Fold out that. And you also see I'm trying to take some more notes recently, especially things like how often someone's re-stealing me, if they're doing it in position or out of position, kind of what's going on, and making lines and plays from that. Real quick, while we're starting up, talk about the HUD. We have VPIP, PFR, number of hands. Then we have steal, fold versus steal, 3-ball, fold versus 3-ball, c-bet, fold versus c-bet, re-steal, fold versus re-steal. And the 2 numbers in the middle are my VPIP and PFR on that table. So pretty much the red number is the fold, the other number is whatever the fucking stat is. So those are the ones that I use. Big one I like to use, especially in today's games, is fold versus steal. If that number is high, I tend to be really aggro on that table. If that number is low, then I tend to do a little bit more value injection, or I'm prepared to do a lot more like raise 4-betting type shit. And I'm just going to fold out the 9-6. This guy shaping up to be aggro, but by the same token, looks to be active. 6-9 out of position is just going to be too tough to overcome, so fuck it. Whereas if I were in position, oddly enough, I'd be way more likely to take it, but out of position, just not as much. Okay. Okay, this one, I'm getting like 20x outright, which isn't terrible, but I'm playing against a guy who is playing a lot of hands, raising a lot of them. Probably not going to be a crap ton in implied odds, so I'll just fold that out, because there's really not a lot of reason to be flatting there. Plus, if I get squeezed out, it's really bad. If I had some fish behind me that were, offering more implied odds, then I'd come along with it, but not so much in that situation. Go for steal here with 6-9. Again, more likely to do it in position than out of position, especially while he's distracted on the other hand. That is something I actually pay attention to, by the way. If I notice someone's in a lot of other hands, I tend to attack them more on the tables that they are not involved. Just because most people tend to only have so much attention that they can allocate towards any given thing, so if I notice they're busy with something else, fuck it, I'm going to attack them. So this guy apparently is going to take his sweet-ass time, or my internet fucked up. It's one or the other. Yeah, at this point it looks like my internet probably fucked up. Sweet. Really love that it does this every so often. It's literally not my internet. It's fucking stars just being retarded. And I'll fold this. And gonna fold this because, again, if this guy calls me, which there's a decent chance he does, he's going to be in position on me. I'm going to have to play out of position with Jack 3 off, which is just going to be total crap balls, and that's just not worth my time, so fuck it. This is my second time trying to record this video. I tried to record one earlier, and it failed pretty miserably. Turned into a whole bunch of 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bets, which, I mean, they were okay, but it was pretty boring. There was no post-flop whatsoever. And how exciting is watching someone 5-bet ship, so not that exciting. Yeah, I normally like playing at this time of day because it's usually a little bit more passive, but for some odd reason, never mind, it is a little bit later in the day. I didn't realize it was 6 o'clock Eastern right now. I for some odd reason thought it was much earlier. So because of that, it will definitely start being more like standard nighttime, a lot looser, splashier, fish around, blah blah blah. So, like, during the day, I like to play really aggressive. That's when I like to play most of my sessions for full ring, just because, I get to get away with my 3-betting, my 4-betting, my stealing, blah, blah, blah. But when you're playing at times like this, where there's more fish around, you have to generally value inject a little bit more and not steal every single time, not 3-bet every single time, that kind of stuff. So, kings over on table 2, obviously we're going to get aggressive with those. Trump and I have been tangling a little bit, but I'm going to give him respect on the first steal, especially because he's coming from the hijack. So there's really no reason for me to fuck around with him quite yet. So he goes for just a standard steal. Just going to go for a small 3-bet. If he calls, obviously we're stacking off anything. And I also like to make this a pinch smaller, give him, you know, room to do that, just because why the fuck not? Well, that's not good. It's never good when they pick up that many outs, because then you just never ever win. Yeah, exactly. Whereas, like, you know, if he doesn't flop a gut shot, I normally win that. That's actually scientifically proven, so don't fuck with me on that. And we're just going to start the session running the way I normally do, and have some fun from there. But again, you know, that smaller size gives him room to make the calling mistake pre, gives him the mistake, or the chance to make the, you know, a whole bunch of mistakes. So I like to utilize that smaller thing against players with smaller stacks. You know, just use a size that's going to create the mistake-rich environment. Not in love with this, given his VPIP PFR gap, but he does have an ATS, so just going to be a little aggressive in position. Catch a jack-high board. We have two options here. We can showdown value line, totally acceptable, or we can go for the bet. I think he's going to make more calling mistakes here, so I'm just going to bet this because it's a dry jack-high board. Looks like I would make this with my standard aces or kings. I'm sorry, with my standard brick ace king. So I think I'm going to get more light calls here than I will if I go for the check back. Sweet. Call 3-bet out of position, fold to half on jack XX. Pretty important note to take there, so always be looking for those little extra notes you can take just so you get information. I like to take notes on how they react to certain bet sizes. I like to take notes on how I think he is going to make mistakes in the future, or all that kind of shit. So give him the old tag row note. Gonna go for a bet here. 0.45. And I'm gonna go for a steal with king 10. Jack is not a good card. Fuck it. And fold that. Yeah, the jack's a pretty bad card. Fills a lot of two pairs and shit. And also, I just don't think I'm getting a lot of good action if I go for a bet there. So, fuck it. And we'll just go for the raise with king queen. Okay, in this spot we have Taikai. So, gonna go for the steal with jack 10. And just gonna go for the attack mode here with king 10. I'm sorry, king 8. So brick this board. Things that he's calling with are probably paired up. Don't think I'm getting many folds here. Don't really want to have to go for the big thing. He did this earlier, so I'm just going to test him, see what he's doing it with. King 8's pretty much the worst hand to do this with, by the way. But he did this small 3-bet thing earlier, so I think he's fucking around enough. And this gives me information either way. And we'll just fold the king 10, or king queen here. Okay, so exactly what I thought. RS, small fold to shove from small stack. Good, and we're going to fold this. And I tramp bet, so I'm going to call here, take away on a lot of turns. One, two, three. Dumbass. I don't understand why they do that. They think they're so fucking clever, like donking into me like that's ever gonna really accomplish shit. It's cute. I mean, I like the fact that you're trying some things, but don't be a dumbass. Call steal out of position. Donk quit on king 9-9 X. Again, take as many notes as possible, because any note is helpful. You know, it gives me an idea on what he's doing in the donk game, that he will donk quit, which gives me information on how I can abuse him in the future, all that kind of fun stuff. Okay, so with a guy like this on my left, I would normally consider getting off this table. This really isn't going to be a great spot to make a lot of money, because this guy's going to be fucking around with me too much. And I don't really want to get into a super aggro 4-bet game against a guy like this. it's just not going to show much profit. So I'm going to get off this table as soon as it comes back around, and we'll open something else up and see what happens. Actually, and for the same rationale, I'm going to get off this one as well. You know, as much as I love having on empty on my right, because it's effectively an empty seat, but yeah, it is. I just don't want to stay at a table where I'm getting 3-bet too much, especially from a guy that I really have no ability to really fight with. I'm just going to get off that table now and see if we can't find something else. And I'm not really table selecting for like anything as far as table average stack or VPIP or anything like that. I'm really just looking for a couple of things, mostly just regs, and kind of seeing where those guys are. So I will sit here, and this table we're going to get off of because it's going slowly. And is this the one I was just at? No, it's not. Perfect. Good, and I'll just post blinds, again, something I would never ever do, but I'll do just for the sake of getting as many hands in per hour as we can. And I don't really hate getting on tables when they're first starting up, but I don't like staying on tables as they break down, because the dynamic tends to shift really weirdly, and not in a way that I like. And past that, the tables are okay right now, but they're just splashy. And you notice I'm really always paying attention to my relative position, really checking out my core 5. Now I'm seeing how many steals I can get through. Like this table I love. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steal positions. This guy's kind of an aggressive re-stealer, so I will be a little careful when I'm in the cutoff using the big blind. But past that, this is like an amazing table with a whole bunch of dead lefts, so I can just pretty much steal 100% of the time it comes around. You know, you also kind of want to pay attention to what's going on your right side as well. If you have guys that are going to steal over you an awful lot of the time, you know, what's the fucking point of staying there? We'll fuck with C-bets and 3-bet pots in position. Okay, I'll give you the first one. And, yeah, I'm just going to fold this. I fucking hate posting, but again, just doing it to see some extra hands. Okay, so Jarvika's just going to check here. I don't like attacking out of position like this. It's going to be way too difficult to overcome, especially against that stack size where things mostly need to be for value. Just going to check this. Pretty much check quit. Same concept, check quit. And we just bet, see if we can't get a call from a second best hand. Whee! Yeah, so not a super exciting video so far, but welcome to Full Ring. The game of boring ass shit. I mean, Full Ring is really so damn boring. Since I've been playing more 6-max, like, you really realize it. Like, everything's just like steal, 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 3-bet, good 3-bet, C-bet win, super occasionally get it all in, and hope to God you hold up. I think that's the best way to describe Full Ring in a nutshell. Just gonna fold against the small 3-bet from a guy I have no info on. Yeah, and like the 4-bet I did earlier with the King 8, that was only because the guy had fucked with me previously. You know, that's not like my standard default play. I only did it with info. Like, I'm not going to attack this guy the first time he does anything because I don't have any fucking info on the guy. Okay. Alright, so this guy's stats started to normalize a little bit. He was the guy who was running like 45, 35 earlier. So, looks like he's shaping up to be something more normal. Which is cool. Or fold that. And we'll steal this if we get the chance. Only because he's tightening up. If he was that loose guy again, I would probably just release this and not fuck around with it. But because it looks like he's tightening, he's not a total spaz, we'll just go for aggressive steals. These deuce, fold that. 3-5, get a steal in if it folds around. 10% PFR. Just first 3-bet. Come on now. Oh. He literally has not faced a 3-bet yet. Alright, fine. I'll give him the first one. Yeah, what I'm looking for there is that he has a EPPFR of something reasonable, 10% works, and he has a fold versus 3-bet that's acceptable. Without any fold versus 3-bet stats, I'm not very likely to give action there. Really, raise stack 10s from EP. It's not a super important stat, but something that I can use later. Might overvalue certain things, might not give credit where credit is due sometimes, and just a little bit of information there might be there. And again, just taking notes, especially, you know, I'm way more apt to take a note if something happens versus me. So, like, the hand that's really important is the one where he called my 3-bet out of position, then folded to a half pot. That's really important. And even though I had a hand there, it doesn't mean that it wasn't noteworthy. It doesn't mean that there might not be a bluffing opportunity there in the future, or the guy might call 3-bets too liberally, or whatever it be, or he might play really fit or fold in 3-bet pots. So any extra information you can glean is always, always important. Yeah, we'll fold that. Let's see. Alright, table's not terrible, but, you know, looks like we have some fish on our left, so we're going to have to play relatively straightforward here. Which I fucking hate, but, you know, what else are you going to do? You can't force action at full ring. You can't really force action anywhere, but you sure as shit don't want to do it at full ring. Full deuce 3. Not going to be throwing any aggro squeezes on that table, so. Yeah, we'll just steal here. Let's see. Oh, this sucks. It only sucks because it's going to get squeezed, and then I'm going to 4-bet, and I don't really want to, but I don't think I'm going to fold either, because I know me better than that. You should do it. You squeeze, because I want to get it in versus you. Bitch. Jackass. Come on, who's got the squeeze button? Someone wants to squeeze. Bitches. Gross. 3.35. Obviously, gonna be doing some things here. Gonna go for a 4-bet for value here. I'm sorry, 3-bet for value. Good. Gonna stack it off against either of them pre-flop. They don't have full stacks. Okay, I'm gonna go for half pot here. See if I can fold a jack sometimes, and it kind of acts as a blocker as well. I don't really want to have to check and then face like a 2/3er, so I kind of manipulate it myself, and obviously he's never folding anything, and God forbid I ever actually improved any of my million fucking outs. And so this is just how I run, like, non-fucking stop. Pick up a big draw, brick. Pick up a draw, brick. Hit a set, never. It's fun. It's fun. Like, literally, my entire fucking win rate is just made up from pre-flop aggression. I don't actually ever hit anything post-flop. And don't worry, if I ever raise you, just assume that I'm full of shit, because I probably am, because I don't actually ever hit hands. My set percentage this month, I believe, is like 5%, as opposed to 11.5% like it should be. And this is just, you know, since 2009, I think I'm running like 21% low on sets. It's pretty fucking disgusting. I'm going to steal the 7 deuce against this guy. Really tight guy. Now, and this is why I color code, just so I can like quickly look over and say, okay, a bunch of red numbers, that guy's getting attacked. I use red for rock. I know a lot of people use red for spazzes or whatever, but for me, red is rock, and pink is fish. Ba-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da. Okay, as much as I would love to steal with 4-5, I really can't, because I'm at a table where this guy's probably going to call a fair chunk of the time, and then I'm going to have to play out of position against the half stack with a hand that I need a lot of maneuverability in. So there's just not a lot of like ways for me to show profit there. And kind of if you saw the planning video I did for the concept of the week. You know, it's always thinking that one step ahead. You know, do I expect to be able to show profit here? Do I not? Do I expect favorable action? Do I not? And choosing lines that are appropriate. I believe Rosh is 2+2, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to give him the first one, just because, why the fuck? You know, there's really no reason for me to mess with him. Gets 3-bet by this guy, fuck it. Whee! Gonna fold there. Usually I would go back and start stealing again, but I do, because iTrump is definitely a little bit of he's starting to be more of an aggro 3-better, especially versus me, and Rosh just 3-bet me the last hand. I'll normally give him that one. I'll normally go for 2 steals in a row if I get 3-bet, if I feel it's, you know, the guy maybe just woke up with a hand, or I think I want to start going back and pressuring, but especially when it comes into 2 people that could be re-stealing me wider, fuck it. By the way, excuse my mouth. I know some people like it, some people don't, but if you don't like it, I apologize. This is just how I normally talk, and I don't, you know, it's not like my professional videos where I normally tone the cursing out. These are just for fun and shits and giggles. So if it folds around to me, I'm probably going to big attack this guy. Looks like he's playing really snug. 9-7, going to steal with that if we get the shot to. So he goes for the attack. That was like the worst thing that could have happened. Okay, just fold, just fold, just fold. I really, really, really wanted to squeeze that, just for the record. Really wanted to squeeze that. And just going to be aggressive here. Got a whole bunch of red numbers behind me. I know LCX will fuck around a little bit, but that's okay. He's still out of position. I still have a hand with equity, and kind of can't be too upset about that. Whee! Steal, 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 steal. Again, floating's just so fucking boring. Good fuck. Thank you. Imagine that was supposed to be an L or an F. Oh, that's fold. Okay. I don't understand when fish talk to each other. It freaks me out. So, and this is why, like, you know, small samples can just be so misleading, because this guy was super spaz when we first started the session, and all of a sudden, you know, he's reverting back to totally normal, like, nit tag stats. And this is why, like, without information, I tend to play way more straightforward, but as soon as I have info, that's when I start really getting off the chain and start being more aggressive. By the way, if any of y'all are 2+2 and watching the video and I've insulted you, I apologize. I know I did that to BPK in the last video, and it felt a little bit bad. I think I called him a pussy. And if you're watching it again, I apologize again. It's really nothing personal. But, you know, it is what it is. So he opens from LP. Not a shit ton of positionality. It doesn't look like, not a massive sample either, but I'll just give him credit. Don't really want to be 3-betting him out of position when his range is probably strong and probably not doing a shit ton of folding. Overcall EP raise with Jack 10 IP. LOL. Hooray! I love when people don't fucking fuck with my blinds. It just, it's delicious. Ugh, fuck you. I have an ace, I have position, it's suited, can't ever be that bad. And I want to see how he starts reacting to 3-bets, so. I like being in position, and I like 3-betting, so what are you going to do? Again, just that hand, like, all the way around is just, like, pristine. Suited ace, position, shit ton of equity if he calls. I don't expect to get 4-bet every time. And we'll just go back to stealing. Really hate when I get 3-bet here, because this is the one that's, like, so incredibly awkward, because ace-jack is just so cuspy. Just all the way around, whether you 4-bet it, whether you flat it. It's just so cusp. And because you've been being really aggressive, you don't know if people are fucking with you light, you don't know if they're only fucking with you heavy because they're scared of you. You know, it gets really spazzy. And I'm gonna check that. Good. Start getting more aggressive again. Oh, and there's nothing better when you get a 3-bet here and get to 4-bet, and then they stall fold because they hate life, because they're not sure if you're fucking around, they're not sure if you're heavy. It's a whole shit ton of LOLs and giggles. Sad face. Yeah, that's such a big part of running bad. Just never getting action on your big cards, and when you do, it's like bricking your fucking flush draws, or getting it all in with an edge and bricking, that kind of stuff. But, I mean, all you can do in this godforsaken game is just keep exploiting edges, keep rocking edges. Because, I mean, we haven't done anything stupid in this video. I don't even think we've done any really light, stupid 3-betting. I don't think I've done a single light 4-bet, which is, like, shell-shocking for me. But the tables, you know, aren't really great for it, because this table, everyone just keeps folding when I steal, so where's my motivation to really start freaking out and getting involved a lot, you know? Not a lot of motivation to do that. And I'm just going to quickly color code a couple of tags, and Lorpa is shaping up to be tag. I do constantly revisit these and recolor code people as I get more and more info. But it's definitely something that you want to keep in mind. Can't remember if they stick. Stars notes used to not stick unless you actually had a note in there, so that's why I used the period. Just so I have something in there and the note stays for next time. And both of these guys are obviously shaping up to be very fishy, but I won't mark them quite yet. Now, I'll mark a guy that's running like 31.6 as a fish relatively quickly, but I won't do it if the VPIP PFR gap isn't massive, because he could just be a guy who's running kind of aggressively and could actually turn out to be a lag. Whereas the guy that's running like 36.5, there's just like no chance in shit that guy's going to be aggressive. That guy's just going to be a passive fish, and you know, he could end up being like an 18.5, but no matter what, he's still going to be passive and he's still going to be fishy, so I guess we'll play for maybe another couple orbits and just see if anything happens. It's been a pretty boring session so far. Literally have no idea if I'm up or down. Probably about break. Actually down a little bit because the ace-king, both the kings and the ace-king hand. Yeah, so this guy's been playing tight as shit. The only hand he plays is when he overcalls with Jack-10 off. LOL. Yeah, and I like doing all the color coding just because it helps me visualize when I can start just stealing everything or when I have to start tightening up. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about my color coding now, I don't think. Regs and tags are generally in this blue-ish color. The darker it is, the more aggressive they are, and or the better they are. They kind of both go hand in hand. I'm just going to give them this one. I've been playing relatively splashy, and I don't really want to 3-bet out of position right now with that image. Even though ace-7's relatively cusp, it's just, you know, where's my motivation to get involved? And steal with the jacks. You also notice I tend to use 2.5 from late position, generally 3x from everywhere else. That's pretty standard for me, for the record. I like to use the smaller size for steals, because if people are letting me get away with it for that number, why the fuck not? There's really no reason for me to get super crazy. So you have 4 attempts. Obviously I'm stealing here if I get the chance to. Lorpa's playing really tight. Of course, this is the first time I'm going to get a 3-bet too. Of course, I'm so good at reading the situation. Like, it's funny. The tags and the nits, their first 3-bet always comes in on me. Never comes in on someone else. It's always on me. And whatever, I'll give them the first one. RSIP1X. So again, just standard note that I take, just that, yeah, I like to visualize how many times they're 3-betting me specifically. Hooray. What do your stats look like? 6% for me, P over about 250, so fuck it. Are you a losing player? Oh, not by much. Okay. Yeah, and for those of you, I know there's some of you that use HUDs that keep like how much your opponent's up or down, either in win rate or pure dollars. I wouldn't look too much into that, because most of the time you don't have a sample big enough. And, you know, Full Ring's one of those games where it's really difficult to make money, and say they, like, tilt spaz one hand, or they ran bad two hands, you know, all of a sudden someone can look like a massive loser, and really they're not at all, especially because you don't have every single hand against them. So I really wouldn't look too much into that. I mean, obviously, if they're blatantly a losing player, if you're playing against, like, Scout or something, sure, but I really wouldn't do it against everybody. I'm going to steal again with ace 5. Okay. Sorry, just taking a mental note on his timing. Timing is something that is extremely important to me, so I tend to look at it an awful lot. Let's see, what are you raising from early position? 3%, he does limp, so his raise from EP should be relatively strong. Not a lot of samples there, obviously. We got 30 samples. I'm going to call with position, plus it allows the other fish fuck to come along. So I take position with a pretty high equity hand against Lorpa, and I think I'm going to be able to do enough here. Okay, I could float here and try to pick off, but this is not really the greatest board to rep. I don't have a shit ton of outs on the turn, and just not a good board. Raise, fold. I mean, I'm definitely like attacking like ace-high boards. I'm attacking you know, anything that has a little bit more midway connectivity in it, not so much like low connectivity, because that could be one of those where like the 4 comes and I can't rep it because he has ace king definitely a non-zero percentage of the time, that kind of stuff. Go ahead, call me with whatever silly ass hand you have. Okay. And just standard opens. Do not raise my blind. What a weird-ass table. And obviously we're going to go back to stealing against Lorpa, because Lorpa's weird. So the Queen 9 isn't something that I do every single time, but against people that are like ultra nitty, and I think there's a lot of implied odds against them, I'm way more apt to get involved. Whereas I really wouldn't do that against like a really strong opponent, even from EP, just because he's never going to pay off. So it's more like I'm running a bluff. And Queen 9's not the worst hand to do it with, but you know, what's my real motivation to get involved in what could be a super thin bluff? Good, and I'll fold the king deuce, and I'll fold the deuce 6, and all sorts of fun stuff. And again, Full Ring's boring as hell, and I'm not going to steal here. Again, I'm just, you know, if I feel I'm going to get 3-balled enough, I just make sure that I have a hand that has some equity. And what doing that does is, 1, allows me to give him action more of the time when he 3-bets me, which is good, and 2 is it keeps me from stealing 100%. So it makes my ATS drop down to something more reasonable, and again, it strengthens my range. It's pure value injection and allows me to, you know, do what I need to do. So, real quick, just see if I can bring up the session, see how it went. Reports after. What is going on here? No. Yes. Fold. So after today, and I did a session earlier, so today's what, 3 p.m., so 15 maybe? Yeah, so down about, no. Am I down? I could be down. I honestly have no idea. Yeah, I think I'm down a couple bucks. Down whatever I lost in that ace-king hand, or the king's hand against ace-king. Overall stats running like 17, 16. ATS of what? 3-bet of 8.5. ATS of 61. You know, and I didn't really do anything the entire session. It was pretty fucking boring. It was just that one damn hand. Let me see if I can change this. Save. No, that's not right. Save. Okay, there it is. So down about 12 bucks. But again, nothing really happened. Running 16, 15. 3 3-bet of 8, okay, steal of 56, okay, so a little bit lower. But, you know, all red line dollars, nothing special about that at all. Winnings. I'm going to give him the first one. He's been playing really tight with me behind him, and the fact that he's opening here is just not good for me. So again, if we look at display all on EV, you know, should have been profit, but what are you going to do? So we'll fold that, and we'll fold that. So I guess we'll just call the session here. I actually think there are quite a few interesting spots to talk about. Obviously, some of you may disagree, but I think if you extrapolate a little bit, there's sure as shit enough to take away from. So hopefully you enjoy it. If you come up with any questions, don't hesitate to let me know, and I'll just play out the ace-king spot real quick, just in case we actually get something exciting happening. I'm not holding my breath on it, though. 4.65. Obviously, if he wants to get it in, I'm more than happy to do that, especially with an aggro image. He just went the hand before. Yeah, he'll fuck with things, so definitely someone that I'm way more apt to attack. So again, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, you know, have a good one and happy grinding.